We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome aboard the Somerset Academies of Texas District Discussions Conversations.
Don't forget Darrell, my friend.
Oh, we do have a special guest today. We'll get to introductions in a second. But this is one of those podcasts where we aren't focusing specifically on a school, but sort of an overall understanding of some of the curriculum and things that we use here at Somerset Academies of Texas in order to help students grow and reach their maximum potential. So we'll start today with some introductions, and we'll start on my left all the way at the very end. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and why you're so valuable to this organization.
Hello everyone, my name is Danielle Rodriguez, and I am a second grade teacher here at Somerset Academy Collegiate. And
How long have you been working here?
this is my fourth year here and my 14th year of teaching.
And you were invited into this because you were an iReady guru last year who really led the way in helping us continue implementing this program for all of our students and families. Go ahead. Next.
So my name is Coach Ramirez. I am the instructional coach at Somerset Academy Collegiate. And thank you. I have been the instructional coach for the past 4 years, but this is my 15th year in education.
That's amazing. That's a long time. And just in case you're all aware, this homecoming week here at the school that we're at today, Somerset Academy Collegiate on Vance Jackson Road. And these ladies today is ties, tutus, and tiaras for the elementary. So,
And they did not give me a heads up.
Hence-
I would have brought my.
hence the princesses. Princess Rodriguez, Princess Ramirez. And go ahead, to my right.
Hi, I'm Courtney Oliver. I am the superintendent of Doral Academy, Texas, but I also serve Somerset Academies of Texas as an academic specialist. I've been an educator for 22 years and super excited to be here to talk about a program that I truly believe in makes a difference in all students.
Excellent. And of course, most of you know me. My name is Corey Oliver. I am the Deputy Superintendent of Schools for Somerset Academies of Texas and the principal here at Somerset Academy Collegiate. We want to talk to you a little bit about iReady today. I know that there's conversations, just in the ones that I've been in with families, kind of trying to better understand what it is, what purpose it serves. And so we hope to get through some of those conversations today. We're working here to start with, about the why. And we kind of got some different levels of engagement here or involvement with the program so that we can help families better understand why it matters to us, why it's so important to us. So we're going to start with a little bit about some of the supports that we have. And what do you think it is that iReady does that is so beneficial for students and families? And let's start with Danielle.
It has been very beneficial the past few years that Somerset has implemented this program. I see it really align with where they are academically, and it really focuses in on the things that they do need to improve on, and it really motivates them, and they want to continue to improve and show that progress throughout the different midpoints we have throughout the year.
Excellent. And so, to be clear, this is a reading program and a mathematics program as well. Science and social studies kind of are embedded within some of the reading, but they are not directly affected by this program. So we use some of our other resources around campus to make sure, or around the district really, to make sure that we are hitting the science metrics and the social studies metrics. But for today, for iReady, it's for reading and mathematics. What is it different about? What would you say different than Danielle said?
So I think to add on what Coach Rodriguez shared on the why for iReady would be the fact that it's prescriptive to the students' needs. In addition to that, as an instructional coach, knowing that the program is aligned to the TEKS for Texas. So everything that the students are exposed to is correlated with what they're learning in class, and it provides that support.
It's excellent. I would say on top of all of those things, it gives us a layer of accountability From an administrator perspective, right, we want to make sure that our teachers are impacting the learning of every student that they have in the classroom. And instead of us being able to be in those classrooms every single day, we can have that bird's eye view of what's happening and what progress students are making by utilizing this program, because all administrators have access to looking at the minutes the students are using and also the lessons passed. But I love what both of these ladies said about it meets the students where they're at, because each of our learners has their own challenge. They come in with gaps from a wide perspective, a wide range, and our teachers have to be able to tackle each of those challenges that our students are facing. And so iReady kind of gives them the flexibility to make sure that those things are happening along with grade level instruction.
So thinking about those things, what does it look like district-wide, and we can even sort of zoom in to what happens in the classroom as well, but what does the year at a glance kind of look like? And what are the sort of the expectations that families can help us with, so that as we figure out each part of the year, what are the kids doing, and what do families do to support that?
Well, I think first and foremost, families always think that this is an extra test maybe. There's some misconceptions there that it's just for testing purposes.
Or curriculum, I hear that a lot too.
Right.
This is your curriculum.
Right.
Right.
And so it's a blend of both of those things. So it has the assessment aspect where we are truly gauging where students at in a wide range of topics, TEKS that they're supposed to be learning throughout the year to their grade level. And then it's also a instructional tool for all of the teachers. And then as iReady grows every year, it's so cool because we learn something new. I always learn something new, even though I've used the program for 7 years now. It's coming up with different ways, different tools for teachers to use in the classroom to make sure that they're able to truly differentiate their instruction and also provide resources for small group instruction, which are two pathways that honestly help us close all gaps for students. And it's really powerful, and especially if you take the time to unpack it. But from a parent perspective, I can see how all of that may sound overwhelming, and or what questions are the parents supposed to ask. So I think it's important that we help them unpack it.
All right, excellent. You want to add anything to that from the classroom level or school level?
This year, as a teacher, a second grade teacher, we will be using the writing component of iReady.
Awesome.
And so we will be incorporating that actually next quarter, the second quarter. We were introducing the writer's workshop in second grade, and so we will be adding the iReady resources that are provided for us, in addition to the other curriculums that we use.
And the writing piece, now parents may not realize that every grade level has to write on STAR, starting with third grade. So it's so important that we're utilizing all resources to help our students learn those writing skills early on. And as a second grade teacher, you're just getting them ready for that next step. That's great.
And that's a great request too. It's an opportunity for us to say, hey, when mom and dad are at home, they're like, we don't have access to these programs. We have a computer, but we don't not quite know how to best support. How can we help? Step one, teach them how to type. If you put them on some of it, was it typing.com? Is that one of them?
Yes, that's one of them.
So there's several, right, that we can utilize in order to help kids be ready. Sometimes that hunting and pecking that they do really stresses them out further on test day. So the more they get experience with using the computer to type long form writing, I think the better off that will be. So that's a side effect of using this program as well.
Definitely. I think another important component to consider is that going back to it being prescriptive for students, is that the students alone are the ones that are supposed to complete these lessons. Any additional help from adults could skew that data. So it makes it difficult to make sure that we're providing the correct supports for our students once they're back in the classroom.
That's an excellent point.
It's such a good point, because a lot of parents out there feel like they're just supporting and getting ahead, right? They're sitting side by side with their student doing the homework. But this particular program is based on what the student is able to do. So important reminder for parents to always let them struggle, because the struggle is going to help them in the end, right? They have to be able to learn those skills themselves. So it's a great point.
And it gives us an accurate starting point with the children. You know, this is where they're actually at. And so it is not intended to stress children out. It's not intended to do anything other than provide us that data collection piece so that we can really dig down and see, where do we need to focus our energies? Where do we need to focus our efforts? Apparently today we need to focus our efforts on knocking down wasp nests behind us. But
And how many minutes are you guys doing a week? You guys are doing 45?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
45 in
And-
both math and reading.
Oh, that's awesome. And you guys have trackers, the kids know where they're at?
We do. Collectively as a campus, specifically lower school, making sure that the supports they have with iReady through their iReady rotations, small group centers in the classroom, and iReady as a specials, everyone is on the same page, and being able to have our iReady data wall for the students to be able to see how many lessons are completed for their class is definitely generating a lot of competitive spirit across the campus, and that's always a good thing.
It also has our students take accountability. As soon as they're finished with a lesson, they're tracking it.
Cool.
And so it really has become a natural routine for them.
and that's math, and they're learning text features by building graphs.
Right.
I enjoyed that. One of the questions that we get pretty regularly is, can you do this from your cell phone or from an iPad or from anything like that? At one point you could not use the iPad, but here on this little handout, it says 2024-25. The iPad must be compatible with 17.3 or above, and then you can download the iReady Connect system requirements. So it looks like that it's finally going to be.
It's going in that direction. I haven't had any families verify yet that they are hopping on that iPad for that resource. That obviously is a type of device that most homes are utilizing instead in lieu of, right, their own laptops or their own computers. Families are going more towards the iPad route. We're really looking forward to that being fully implemented, so we'll keep everyone informed on when that is a go, when that's a green light, because we know that that's such an easier way for families to engage.
And I'm sure that most families are already aware of how to get on, unless your student is 100% fully independent. They're coming home and not telling you about the iReady. But if you do need help logging in, it is listed right here on how do I log in on the first slide.
Well, and the cool thing is it's linked to our Clever. So our, both Somerset and Durrell use a single sign-on for all of their programs. So all of our students need to know is their Clever login.
Yeah, and that's great because that keeps all of our curriculum, all of our platforms that the schools use that are pertinent to your student, they're all in one place so that you don't have to get multiple logins. It's all right there. You got any tips as a classroom teacher or a school coach about how to navigate Clever?
Yes, so I wanted to chime in on that. And one thing that we made sure was consistent in grades kinder through fifth grade was that the students' Clever badge, their QR code, is attached to the front of their take-home folder as well as their agendas. So it doesn't matter what it is that they're taking home, they have access to that QR code.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
We have a few, we sometimes misplace or lose, and adding them to our planner and our folder has been very beneficial. So there's no excuses, and they know
Right.
now. Oh, I can get it from my
Right.
folder.
That
And
sounds like the teacher.
Yeah.
and it's,
No
it's
excuses.
really helpful. Going back to kinder through fifth, we have a lot of families that have multiple students in different grade levels. So to have that consistency really helps with the families as well.
Yeah, as a mom of two, I can imagine more, right? Juggling all, right? Ms. Ramirez outnumbers yourself.
Yes.
But yeah, you just have to juggle so much already. So I'm so glad that we utilize a single sign-up because that just streamlines life.
And the next slide here talks about how to get started. All your children have been started, I assure you. We are started. So it is October. regardless of whether you're a Somerset Academy student or whether you're a Doral student, they've all been logged in, they've all taken their benchmark. And so this is where we sort of get into this data-informed decision-making process. And we go in and we look and see, first of all, where did my child land? Where did they place? The fact that this is our third year and at Somerset, and the second year at Doral, or third year, am I ready at Doral?
We're starting our third.
Starting your third year at Doral. So this is really empowering because you have multiple years of data that you can then go back and look at. So if a student comes in and let's say they're a fifth grade student this year, and they take their test, and all of a sudden they're testing in second grade at the end of that first benchmark test, or not benchmark, but beginning of the year exam. Well, the teachers then can go back and look at this child and say, hey, well, that's not true. You finished on a sixth grade level this year. You should be a year ahead. Why are you all of a sudden 3 or 4 years behind? So it's critical for us that we know and understand what's going on with each individual student in our school so that we can make the maximum, create the maximum outcomes for them academically. So
I will add something really cool real fast.
do it.
So Somerset Academy's had over, I want to say, close to 350 students that attended summer school this year. And Coach Ramirez was one of the directors for summer school, and she did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Yes, it was great. But I just got some information today about how our students did.
Breaking news.
Breaking news with Summer Slide, right? Because Summer Slide is a real thing. Students do regress over the summer. They're not practicing their skills. And we had such a minimal Summer Slide in so many of our grade levels that I cannot wait to disaggregate that data and see which of those students actually came to summer school, because it truly made an impact. And honestly, we looked at it from last summer, Summer Slide, to this summer, and we know that we made such a great impact on kids. So they're starting the year off right, they're ready to go, where they didn't experience that slide. And that's a true testament to the programming itself and having a great director, making sure those things are happening. So that's awesome.
For those of you that are not aware, Summer Boost, this year we were able to do 100% free. We spend about 3 hours of the full day doing academics, right? So that we're not losing that all the momentum that we finished the year with academically. And then there's all kinds of super fun things that you girls did out there, right? I mean,
Yes.
tell them some of the cool things we did.
So some of the exciting parts that we use to help students stay motivated, we had field trips to the movies, we had field trips to the McNay Art Museum. At the end of Summer Boost, we were able to bring out the San Antonio fire truck, and they had a foam party.
Cool.
So things like that were very helpful. To also include Pizza Wednesdays. That was also something that was consistent throughout the school year, but that they were able to have fun with during Summer Boost as well. And
Tell them the best part. Tell them how much it costs. How much is a summer school program that robust nowadays?
0.
Whoa!
It was
Zero.
100% free for the students. And even if students weren't able to attend Summer Boost, the best part is that any Somerset student could still access their iReady from home.
I love it. And as a district leader, when I think about, and it's great to hear the breaking news today, that teachers were already telling me, oh my goodness, they started off better than they were. How did this happen? We've had these conversations after the beginning of year assessment. We're like, Summer Boost, that's it, Summer Boost. And just, this is my little, again, from that grand sort of overlooking all of these programs, when we're talking about re-enrollment, or we're talking about joining the Summer Boost program, or some of these things we work really hard to get access to. And when families don't buy into them, when they don't show up, they don't come to school, or whatever the reason might be, then we start losing the ability to have these programs. They take them somewhere where children are going to take advantage of them. And Summer Boost wants to stay with us. We can probably serve almost 400 kids a year. So if you've not been part of it, please understand, it's an amazing program. It is completely free to you. The kids get amazing experiences. It's not just academics. It is more than that. We're very big on celebrating success. We'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure. But and the same thing's true about re-enrollment. We make all of our financial decisions based on the kids that are enrolling. So when you re-enroll, for the school years, enroll early, enroll often, right? But just make sure that this is the destination for you, because all of the decisions that I have to make across the entire district, and it's all based on your interactions with us, so we know what's going on. So it's imperative that we continue to offer these programs and do great things for kids. So how can parents tell whether or not their children are making progress? How does that work out? Let's start from a teacher-led view on that.
Teachers and parents, keeping the open communication is very helpful and beneficial. If you're wondering how your student is doing with their diagnostic, whether it's beginning, middle, or end, we're able to print out reports, and that is a really good indicator of how their child is doing.
So do you typically communicate that, putting it in their folder and sending it home? And
Yes, and also this past year we had a open house, and many of the parents were able to get that report from the beginning of the year diagnostic, and those that weren't able to, it was sent home with their child. And any other reports were able to print out either way.
And when can parents go on the site itself and just see where their performance level was in case they didn't get that flyer? You know, especially when you get into middle school, sometimes those papers don't make it all the way home. Is there a possibility for them to see, you know, what grade levels my child working in?
This is a great time for you to ask your student, how do they access their curriculum? They'll show you their Clever account. You'll ask them to log in, and then you'll hop into their iReady account. Well, you receive the screen that's being displayed right now. They'll show you the screen that has their My Progress. It'll say their time on task for the week. It will say how many lessons they have passed. It will also tell you their lesson streak, and then they can even click at the bottom and show you all of their completed work. So it's such a really easy place for you to have your student show you. And then it's a great place also for that conversation to happen between you and your student about how is it going. And if they, let you know, I'm having some trouble or it's a struggle, then that's a great time for you to communicate back to the teacher and say, hey, my student said that they're having some trouble. The time on task, they're not passing a lesson, they need some extra help. And then the teacher hops right back in there and gives them that assistance, that support.
And what do you do when you run across a class? Let's say you're looking at fourth grade and all of a sudden you see someone who's tested on STAR the highest in that particular grade, and now they're in fourth grade and they're ranked in a kindergarten or a first grade level. What are the assumptions you make, and what do you do to correct some of that?
So I think the best part about disaggregating the data and being able to take a look at how the students are performing is that it doesn't lead the instruction, but it guides it. So being able to take a look at the historical data and seeing how students are performing really helps both the teacher and myself as an instructional coach to get a story of what is going on with the student. It could be it could be a technological error. It could be that the student was maybe feeling unmotivated. It wasn't a good day. The testing environment wasn't appropriate for the student at that time. It really just helps us try to figure out what type of support we need to provide for the student, and then being able to make that informed decision to move forward.
Just so parents and guardians are aware, when we see something like that, that's a glaring indicator that something went sideways. We're going to go in there. We're not going to allow that. We're going to talk to the student first of all, figure out if something happened that purposefully, like you said, they weren't motivated, they didn't put the effort in, and we can manually make that change. So if you're at home and your child's doing their iReady and you know they're in sixth grade, and all of a sudden you look down and they're doing third grade work, you might want to ask yourself the question, why is this happening? And if you haven't heard from the teacher yet, reach out. Don't hesitate. Reach out and say, listen, my kid's in sixth grade. I feel like they should be doing more difficult work. Why is this popping up in third grade? There's multiple reasons that, as you've heard, that it could be, but 9 times out of 10, when that happens and you don't think it's accurate, then something has gone on where the child hasn't maybe not put forth total effort. because they know it's easier. It's a little easier to get my 3 lessons done a week if I test lower on the first attempt. And that's not the point of this program at all. In fact, that's a giant waste of everyone's time. And I hate to say it that way, but our goal is to move kids and move the needle academically, and we can't do that with false data, right? You're only as good as the data that you collect.
And I will say the instructional coaches have such an insider info when it comes to that, right? Because, oftentimes it's the teacher's first time meeting that student. But the instructional coaches can kind of go in there and be like, no, Johnny needs to be a little bit higher, right? We're not in 2nd grade anymore. We're all the way to 4th grade and he can be challenged. So it's such a great part of the tool, the program itself, that it can be adjusted and really hone in on what that student should be doing. Because like you said, it's purposeful. It has meaning. Students are spending a lot of time doing this program. So if they're not doing it at the right level, then it's not benefiting them.
Yeah, and it's completely customizable, right? Coach Ramirez, you were saying earlier, you like the word prescriptive in that this is the diagnosis. Phonics are not working out right now. We need to really put some focus, and they can tailor some lessons, and you'd be better telling them this than me, but you can tailor some lessons, right, on how to focus directly on phonics. What might those look like?
We definitely can. We can assign lessons, whether we're going over doubles or 3-digit addition and subtraction. As a teacher, we can assign those lessons to our class, and if a student is still having a little bit more trouble, we can assign a different lesson or something that will be better for that student.
And I think something to add to that as well is knowing that we have that access to adjust their instructional pathways, not only for the teachers, but for the instructional coach as well, that's something that I could be able to provide that assistance for teachers and or students. And to tie back to Summer Boost, knowing that was ongoing and being able to provide that piece of information for students as they moved on to the next grade levels has been very beneficial for the teachers as well, and for myself, knowing that that was something I was able to continue to keep track of.
As a teacher, in the beginning of the school year, we did, my class, we had some data chats, and so we did, they were excited to see they've already shown growth, even though it was only a week when we took it. And so I know that Summer Boost was helpful, and just working at home too.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, sometimes a student may not be engaging in school because they don't feel confident. They don't feel like they can do 3-digit numbers or whatever in math, right? And when you have a program that can be sort of working as the private tutor that you can customize, knowing that there may be a gap somewhere. And look, a lot of this comes back to attendance, not just for kids, but teachers too. But if the teacher's missing, if she's been out for a couple of days with the flu or something, and they're still working on dividing fractions, maybe that lesson didn't get through as well as it should have. And that gap can remain for a long time. On the flip side, if your student's not staying in school, and you're missing 5, 6, 7, 8 days of school, then you're missing out on some key factors of things. And it's very difficult for you in that regard to catch up in the middle of a tier 1 instruction piece, right? So the fact that you can use a program like this and sort of narrow it down and say, hey, I know that your child could use some additional help in dividing fractions. I'm going to assign some of these throughout the year and see if we can't close that gap so that we can focus on the grade level content that we're working on currently. So tips and tools for supporting your student. Anything up here that we've talked a little bit about many of these things, but is there anything up here that stands out to any of you?
Well, I think the track and discuss progress, right? So I always want to support my kids in their learning journey. And I always want to be able to tie that back to whatever reward system we have going on in our own house. So something that we like to do every Friday is called Ice Cream Friday. My kids and I get ice cream. It's a treat for them. It's a big treat for me too. But I utilize academics as a conversation piece to say, okay, did we earn our ice cream this week? So as a mom, that's something that I always want to support the school and their goals. and my own students' goals and what they're doing. So we kind of opened that discussion up with, hey, did we finish all of our tasks that we had to finish? So that's one place a parent could start with iReady.
As a class, last year we had a pizza party at the end of the school year because everybody showed progress.
Awesome.
And so there's a graphic that the class can see without showing any private information, and they saw the percentage keep going. And so it was a really big celebration. So come mid-January, when we take the diagnostic again for the middle of the year, I look forward to seeing that progress. And
That's great.
I know they'll be excited to see it also.
One thing that I want to add to that is the bragging rights. I think that everyone really gets into that competitive spirit, not only from student to student, but grade level to grade level, and within the grade level from teacher to teacher. So being able to have those bragging rights also helps everyone get into that competitive spirit.
And compete's one of our 5 pillars here at Somerset Academy Collegiate. I know each school does their own thing. They have their own different sayings and mantras and motivational strategies, but for us, compete is one of them. I would just say we've gotten to a point where I think it's critical that we understand school's not supposed to be easy, right? Nothing in the learning process is supposed to be easy. It's like running. If you're a runner or a weightlifter, or in order to acquire a new skill, you got to stress the muscle, right? If you don't stress the muscle, it doesn't become a long-term thing. It doesn't become integral. It doesn't become part of you. So while we're not supposed to leave kids sit off to the side and hand in Einstein and say, hey, figure this out and let me know when you're done with it. What we do when we need to challenge them every day. We need to challenge them all the time to push themselves just a little bit further, because that's how we build those academic muscles, right? That academic strength that they can utilize down the road to make choices in what kind of life they want to lead. If kids are graduating high school, and we know this is a fact in this country, plenty of kids are graduating high school and they can't even read. So when you have that happening, that's a significant problem, right? And we can't graduate children that can't read. We shouldn't be graduating children that can't do basic algebra, right? We can't continue down this path as a nation. So I think it's imperative that if we understand that there are all these supports, there are all these tools, there are all these resources, that we just continue in that progress discussion, right? Or the encouragement piece, as you see up here, that we're encouraging kids to push yourself a little bit harder, be a little bit uncomfortable, because, and I say this in all my podcasts, it's not just this one, but you don't have to build resilience, or what's that word everybody uses now? Grit, right? You don't have to build grit through trauma. You can build it through a little bit at a time, every single day, getting a little bit better at the things that you do, whether that's out on a track or a field or a court, whether that's in a classroom engaging in difficult mathematics or reading difficult texts and literature. That's the best way to build resilience and grit, not through, I think, the way a lot of some of the older generations built theirs, which is through some real life traumas. And there's a better way to get that what do we call it, character trait, than to go through some miserable things that you have to deal with the rest of your life. So please don't hesitate to push your kids a little bit and ask them to do a little bit more and a little bit more academically, because in the end it'll pay off. And as you've said multiple times, the children want to compete. They want to come in. They want to be part of this, right? They get excited when they do better, even if they're only competing with themselves, which is all I ever ask. Be better than you were yesterday, and I'm a happy man, right? You don't have to be better than everybody else. You don't have to be better than me. It's just be a little bit better than you were yesterday, and I know that we're making progress. And that's my whole job, right? There's no more slides. That's it. 3 slides. What would be your final sort of, well, first of all, before we get to that, what is the expectation? How many lessons and how much time on task should we be spending?
So at minimum, and I think our classroom teacher said it very well, it's 45 minutes for reading and 45 minutes for mathematics each week. And that does start over on Sunday. So if families are trying to get ahead of the game, They need to start those on Sunday, not Saturday, because that's when it starts over. I had some moms ask. I was like, we've been doing it all day on Saturday, and I'm like, uh-oh, that was for the previous week.
Right.
So 45 minutes, that's 2 math and 2 reading lessons. What is that quote, Ashley, about the standards or the floor, something like that? You know this quote I'm talking about?
No, not that I can think
You don't
of.
remember
This
this?
That's from our data analyst, Dr. Barr. She
Yeah.
says that the standards per grade level oftentimes are looked at as the ceiling. But instead, if we change that mindset to that's the floor, and we can go above and beyond those standards per grade level. And that's the spirit of iReady and what we're trying to do both at Somerset and Doral.
And you can test out. I have a 6th grader and he tests out, he masters math and reading in grade 8 already. So there's no point in him continuing down this path with iReady. And I love that. I think that's spectacular.
On to the next challenge.
On to the next challenge, right? We're all of our schools are early college high schools, or will be soon. And the idea behind that is that children are going to graduate from high school with a college degree. So maybe 45 minutes is great. That's the bare minimum. That's what we ask. But 3 lessons are better than 2, right?
Definitely.
And 60 minutes is better than 45. So for me, and just another personal thing, but like I drive long hours. I live very far south of town. So when I have the children, we're doing work in the truck. That's what they do. It's time to do homework. And if it gets dark outside, I pop the overhead lights on and they do homework in the truck because we get home most days, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we're back on the road at 5:30 the next morning. So they do a lot of their stuff in the truck. So I'm one of those people too. It's like, no excuses. Let's get it done. What can teachers do or parents do to sort of fill up that data wall of yours?
I think definitely having the support from the families to encourage their students to be able to complete the lessons at home. And if not possible, definitely having those conversations with them on the importance of iReady, knowing that there are multiple opportunities while they're at school to be able to complete those lessons. So it takes a village. We've built up that village at the academic level here on campus. Everyone is on board. There's the support in every direction they look at, but knowing that we have the support from the families as well will help the students move along and definitely reach those goals.
And then one more question for you, Ashley. Ashley. It kind of sounds the same when I said it. Maybe I need to work on my pronunciation. What about if maybe you've got a brand new teacher. You've come to Somerset, your child has moved into 7th grade, they've got a brand new teacher for reading or ELAR, and you feel like you haven't gotten everything that you need. I'm not looking for necessarily names, but what titles, if I'm a parent and I'm concerned that I don't understand quite how this process works, who can I go to besides just the teacher?
So in addition to reaching out to the teacher, Parent Square has been a very useful platform for us, and anyone who is able to respond through Parent Square is able to direct parents to the appropriate supports. But reaching out to the instructional coaches as well will help guide the student and the parent to the appropriate answers that they're looking for their students in regards to iReady. But because it is something that is district-wide, I believe that anyone that they reach out to on campus will know how to provide that support for the families.
Excellent.
I would say that families tend to just go to the people that they know, right? So it might be an assistant principal, which is great. That assistant principal might head them right back to the instructional coach or the teacher. But just so the families know that everyone is on the same page. I think that's what Coach Ramirez was definitely indicating, is that it is a team effort. Everyone knows what's up with iReady, so a parent can go to whomever they feel the most comfortable with, but we're probably going to direct you back to the teacher and then the instructional coach.
And our instructional coaches, they know and understand the system very well, so they'll be able to assist you. And that's just true no matter which campus you attend, whether you're a lion, an owl, a Bengal, because I'm not supposed to say tiger, Bengal.
Oh, man.
A Bengal or a bear or a Firebird.
An eagle, friends. Not a Firebird.
You're not a Firebird?
No, I'm not a Firebird. That's down in Miami.
Nothing. Firebird's cool.
I'm pretty cool.
Yeah,
Eagles are
Firebird's
cool.
cooler. Wish I had a Firebird. Anyway, so one thing that's really cool about this before we finish up here, we're moving into a new world. You've probably heard about it. If you don't pay attention to these types of things the way we do in the education world, you might not be really clear on what's happening, but AI is here. It's here to stay. We can use AI at, it's intuitive learning. iReady sort of is doing intuitive learning in that same manner with your students when they are missing, if they get, I think it's two or three questions in a row wrong, then the difficult level will drop a little bit until they start re-engaging in the process to solve this equation or this problem correctly, and then it'll build them back up. That in the next 5 years, you're going to see so many changes educationally. You're going to see so many changes in the world with AI. We've got to a point today. What's the site that you were showing me? Tell me a little bit about that site. That was crazy cool.
It is a Google Chrome extension called Brisk Teaching, and it uses AI to
Brisk.
provide feedback for the students' writing. So if a rubric is uploaded into the system, then it's able to provide feedback specifically aligned to the rubric. It could also provide feedback on glows and grows for the students, and most importantly is that the teachers have that edit access to be able to either take away or edit some of the feedback that is being provided to the students.
So cool.
Yeah. And computers are these like, love them or hate them, they're here. But they're these, boxes of hardware and really, these giant achievements of humankind. And it's really cool. But computers in general don't motivate people to get up and do anything. In fact, they're designed to keep you sitting still, staring at a computer. So these tools are fabulous when you're using a computer. Let's use these tools to help, grow, become, again, make yourself better each day. Doesn't matter how old you are, there's stories out there, and you can find them on these computers, right? They'll show you stories of the 85-year-old bodybuilder that didn't pick up a weight until she was 80. That stuff's out there. It's cool. But using these tools will help children find a passion and find something that really is valuable to them and take it out there and make it a lifelong passion and a lifelong journey. And ultimately, that's the real purpose of schools, is to give children an opportunity to find what it is that they desire to do, right? Find their passion. As we started this podcast with the why, that's how we should end it, right? We need to be able to give children their access to their why and why they do what they do when they grow up and become adults like us.
I think there's always that word authentic, right? That's like a huge word that's always used when it comes to being worried about AI. Is the work still going to be authentic even when students have access to AI? And what does that look like? I think educators now have to just be adept to how can I make AI work for me and my students, because students are going to be using it and they're going to be typing papers with it and they're going to be editing papers with it. And so how does a teacher create a classroom situation that allows for authentic work to still happen? And there's a blend, right? There has to be a blend and a balance to how much work happens on the computer and how much work happens live with pen and paper still. So I think it's just important to be mindful that as educators, we're all navigating that at the same time. Our families are navigating that and our students.
No, can't say better than that.
Exactly. I think you brought up a great point, Mrs. Oliver. And really more so, I'm thinking about the teacher. We're facilitators in the classroom and being able to facilitate that growth and how to use AI for students and use it as something positive is a really good thing. It's a great tool.
Final thoughts?
I do want to mention that each lesson gives your child some coins, and with those coins, they're able to play games. So I had 2 girls this week. They met the minimum of 3 and 3 in reading, 3 in math, and they didn't have enough coins to play a game they wanted to play. iReady has some really good interactive games, And so instead of just giving up or just doing something else, they did an additional lesson. And so that gave them more points, and they were able to play the game, the learning game that they wanted to do.
Oh, I love that.
Motivation is everything.
Self-motivating.
Yeah, you gotta have motivation to make changes, positive changes in this world. And so let's keep motivating kids. As always, my name is Corey Oliver, Deputy Superintendent of Schools for Somerset Academies of Texas. I hope that you all have a great time. We got 4 schools for you so far. We're gonna build 4 more soon. Check us out at 4802 Vance Jackson Road, down on Global Way for Somerset Academy Brooks, Somerset Academy Oaks over on Babcock, or Somerset Academy Lone Star. What was that on again? Off of, where? Birdwood. Birdwood Lane, 25 Birdwood Lane. Thank you for your help. See, sometimes it takes a village just to get Mr. Oliver through the day.
But wait.
But wait.
If you live in the San Marcos area or closer to maybe New Braunfels, why don't you check out Buda, Texas? Because that's where Doral Academy is.
Buda, Texas.
Buda, up there in Buda.
I love Buda, Texas.
Doral Academy, Texas.
It's
.com.
beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, dad joke of the day. All right, I gotta go get a Firebird. Check y'all later. And as always, I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Bye.
We should be clear.
That was fun. That was a lot of